two different topics on the show today. First, we look at the issues around the Ecowas breakup. Of course, we saw that some of the Sahel states have already, exited the regional bloc. We saw that 2 days ago, and we also saw the statement from Ecowas there announcing their exit from the regional bloc. What is the implication of this for West African food security and, of course, regional cooperation? Don't forget the free movement. What happened? What happened to the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement? We'll look at that and how this breakup in ECOWAS or crack what it will have on the larger, on the entire West Africa sub-region, and by extension, the rest of Africa. What lessons are there to be learned, and what will be the implication as well? We'll also look at issues around street economies. We'll look at the food prices in Nigerian markets, and of course, the cost of goods and services as well in public spaces. But first of all, let's go into the discussion with regards to the Ecowas breakup. And I have my guest joining me via Zoom. Steve Nwachukwu is an economist. He joins me via Zoom from Abuja here. Good morning, Mr. Steve.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Let's get your take about what is going on with ECOWAS. Does it mean that ECOWAS has, outlived its usefulness? Hello, Mr. Steve, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can hear you. Or you asked if ECOWAS have lived at its usefulness.
Absolutely.
I think that answer is no. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so the answer is no. What have just happened is that 3 member states of the ECOWAS had the opportunity to trigger the Article 91 of the Ecowas and other articles of the treaty to exit as full members of this very commission or full members of this union, on which the Article 91 gives that provision of 360 days, which is a year, for an effective exit from such body, and which means that effectively and officially today, these 3 countries of Burkina Faso, Republic of Mali, and Republic of Niger has officially exited the ECOWAS economic bloc and ECOWAS bloc. And what it also means is that, going by the circular released by the ECOWAS headquarters, you will find that in the paragraph 3 or 2 of that very article, you find that publication or notice, they rightly stated that what has happened is that the doors are still open for the member states of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger to continue to enjoy all forms of privileges, economic and social wise, that they have been enjoying. No restriction of movement. There's still an existing free visa movement for members of these countries or citizens of this country. There is still also non-stoppage or perhaps a continuation of the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and other trade policies of ECOWAS. So what it simply means that the 2 arms or 3 arms that could have effectively see a greater impact in this very exit was actually left undone, or actually left open for member citizens of this very 3 country. So giving room that maybe they can rethink, maybe they can also adjust in that policy, that decision of exiting the ECOWAS. So far, by principle, they have left they are no longer member states of the ECOWAS, but in practice, it simply means that they still enjoy all those privileges and economic ties or economic trades that exist between member states. Nothing has stopped. They still have access to the markets in ECOWAS countries, and the member states are also enjoying to not treat them in any other form, that they should enjoy the ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme and other investment policies of the ECOWAS. So these are the main things. Visa-free movement is still there. Through liberalization policy of the ECOWAS, they are still enjoying all the privileges. It simply means, in principle, they have left. In practice, they are still members and enjoys the privileges of the ECOWAS. Thank you.
But Mr. Steve, ECOWAS did say with what you did alluded to that statement. They did say until further notice, and that means, of course, it's not going to be forever.
Well, I thank God you emphasize that it's not going to be forever, and until further notice can also be forever.
Well, all right, let's look at these three countries now. If you look at them, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, of course, if you put their population together, that is just 60% of the 424 million population of the total ECOWAS region in West Africa. And of course, three of them contribute just 77% rather to the GDP of the region. Do you think their exit having any impact with regards to the economic growth and development within the sub-region?
Well, to be honest, no number should be neglected. Even a single 1% is significant in economic terms. If you lose 1% of your trade, or the talk of losing about 7 to 7.5%, is still very significant to the numbers. So we need additions, we need expansion, we need growth than contraction. So yes, it may not make much sense when you lose 7%, but it's still a significant number. But have in mind that the same notice actually simplified these very fears that existing trade, existing transaction, and business transaction will still continue to go on with the ECOWAS member nations or countries. So the 7.5% in question is still, there's no risk, because you still enjoy all trade transactions and schemes, investment opportunities, and what have you among these member states and citizens. Have in mind, once you can freely move among these member states with the assistance of the free visa movement of ECOWAS, I think every other thing is still to the status quo, except the political cohesion that exists among member states that have left. That's the only angle. Economically wise, everything is still in start, because there's free visa movement is still in existence. The ECOWAS trade liberalization scheme is still in existence, and other forms of investment policies of ECOWAS are being told also to accord them all due diligence and all due acceptance or hand of friendship to the three member states, the executive three member states of the ECOWAS. So it means only the political wing or political cohesion or cooperation that have existed from these very member states. So 7.5% is not that much, but going by the practice and the notice issued by the ECOWAS headquarters, it seems that we have not lost even a single cent or a single percent. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, let's look at the food insecurity in some of these countries. Mali, Burkina Faso, Niger, they have a very vulnerable population that are facing food insecurity. Of course, most of the food they consume are from some from Nigeria and, of course, other neighboring West African countries. With their exit from ECOWAS, what do you think will be the implication? Or do you see that deteriorating?
That's where perhaps we may be seeing some lapses, or we may be seeing some level of gaps that we needed, or that political connection, that political cohesion to help address. Yes, once you have lost the political and government by government transactions, or government by government corporations, it means that the security among the joint task forces that we have among these member states, among the ECOWAS region, which Nigeria actually benefit from that of the Mali down to Niger and the rest of them within the borders of the Nigeria, we may possibly lose that very military joint task forces that have helped to keep these very bandits and insecurities among these borderlines. But in the side of the food security for the member states, I think it will rather affect Nigeria more than it will affect these very nations, because most of their crop items are sent to Nigeria. You remember that when, as at this time last year, when this very struggle for exit started, and Nigeria issued that the border should be closed and all that, and we found out that most of the crop items that we consume, the prices start moving up. Because of the supplies, the huge supplies we receive from mostly Niger and some other member states that are affected. So I think it will affect us more than it will affect the Niger, the Burkina Faso and Mali respectively. So I think it's rather on our own side. But the good news again is, in as much as we continue to try as possible as a nations or independently have some level of food security, food sufficiency, I think we still need some level of cooperation. We need some level of coordination among member states, where you have in excess of a particular crop, you can send to across the border to the other, your neighbor, and that's vice versa. So yes, of course, we are going to witness some rise in prices for some of these very products, because notwithstanding that the notice sent by Ecowas still give that opportunity to citizens of Ecowas, Burkina Faso and Mali to still have free visa and free movement to member states of Ecowas, free business transactions and the rest. Maybe there may still be a slight increase in the product and services being conducted among member states along the borderlines. Yes, of course, it will affect the insecurity to secure the food, because when you don't have those striking force or joint task force or military joint task force, yes, you start seeing these very insurgents, you start seeing these bandits and Boko Haram and the rest of them that operate within the belts of these borderlines start waxing strong, because you don't have additional forces or a joint task force that will deal with their excesses. I think yes, we stand to have a larger insecurity issues along these very border areas where you see these very insurgents and these militants operate. Yes, we're going to affect this security, and which in extension will affect food security among these member states. Thank you.
All right. Niger is a very close ally of Nigeria. We share border with them, especially from the northern axis of the country. Do you see, and of course, we'll be living in peace for a very long time. With their departure now from ECOWAS, do you see Nigerian government, negotiating a different trade arrangement or trading, policies with this country that many of Nigerians have come to see as one of their brothers?
That would be a very fantastic move. That would be very, very laudable move if we can reconsider or have an internal or one-on-one neighbor-to-neighbor agreement or trade or treaty with our neighbors independent outside the ECOWAS. But unfortunately, the hands of the government of Nigeria is tied, because we are the big brother in the union, the ECOWAS union. So if we start having individual one-on-one or neighbor-to-neighbor agreement with the ECOWAS member state that have been expelled or that have exited the ECOWAS region, it simply means that the big brother will claim as a nation and the union will be weaker. So that is where the Nigerian government hands have been tied to have such kind of agreement. But if that may happen an informal way, that would be fantastic to see continue to have a greater deals and a greater trade with our neighboring country, most especially the Niger. We need a lot among the Niger, not if mostly because of the security that goes on and the cultural relationship or cultural ties that we share among these very two countries. So I think we need a lot to do with that, and it may be informal, it may not be official, because if we do that officially, we weaken the ECOWAS union, we weaken the strength at which we speak to issues of the region. I think it's a good one, but the hands of the Nigerian governments are tied to officially make such agreement, because we belong to ECOWAS and we believe in the treaty of the ECOWAS region. Thank you.
All right, let's look at the electricity. Nigeria is one of the countries that supply electricity to many West Africa countries, Benin Republic, Niger, and of course, a host of them. With the exit of Niger, don't forget there was an existing agreement that did not allow Niger to dam, the river Niger. But with this severing tie now with Nigeria, Nigeria be one of the big power supply to Niger. Do you see us having any issue with regards to that relationship?
Yes, of course. I think the issues are quite delicate in the sense that we have a lot of economic ties, we have a lot of social ties, we have a lot of borderly ties with these very countries, mostly the Niger Republic, Republic of Niger. What it means that Nigeria should tread softly in implementation of any of the article that have been invoked in respect to these official seats of these very member countries. We should tread carefully. Yes, like you said, we had a lot of business transaction in respect to power supply to Niger Republic, Benin Republic, and the rest of some other African countries. And this is business ties. Remember that the clause, the notice of publication released by the Ecowas headquarters yesterday, actually, like I said again, the sections of that, in the paragraphs of that, did clearly stated that we should still continue to have business transaction in the faith and the spirit of trade liberalization scheme of the Ecowas and other investment policies. So it simply means that we are still in open hands, open trade, open business transaction with Niger. The power supply to Niger will continue to exist because it's a business that two countries have gone into. Yes, there are also existing understanding that the Niger Republic will not dam most of the river lines that connects to Nigeria that supply to some of our dams and the rest. Yes, of course, I know with the existing business transactions that have not been touched, that have not been tampered as a result of their exit, I still believe in good faith that such treaties and understanding will continue to exist for the interests of both countries. Yes, I said again, Nigeria should tread with caution in the way and manner they go about implementing any of these very articles or any of these very clauses that may hamper our existing brotherly relationship, neighborly relationship, and social ties that we have with Niger Republic. Niger is strategic to us and will remain their big brother, and we should treat them as one. Thank you.
All right, before I let you go, Mr. Steve, Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso has set, a precedent. Do you think other Africa countries from maybe members of Ecowas, not just necessarily just West Africa sub-region, other regional blocs within the continent, do you see them taking the same decision? Because a lot of people are saying, those who are pro, Niger exit from Ecowas and are saying that, of course, the decision for them to leave is actually in the best interest of their countries.
Yes, of course, it's on the ECOWAS bloc or ECOWAS Union stands at risk, being weakened by the exit of three member states that controls a very largest population of the ECOWAS region. Yes, the risk is there, and perhaps it has also given an opportunity. Yes, it's in the treaty that you can exit. It's not a do or die affair. The union is not as long a do or die you remain. But like you said again, the official exit of these three member states of the ECOWAS perhaps may also weaken the faith and the spirit of the remaining member states. Yes, that risk is there, that their feelings and their faith in the ECOWAS will dampen because they say the more the merrier, and now you are losing membership. I think what it requires of the ECOWAS bloc, the remaining member states, is to continue to close the ties, continues to strengthen the ties, continue to respect the treaty, and continue to improve in the existing relationship, and do not toe the lines they took last year or November 2023 when they almost declared war against the junta governments in this very three countries have exited. I think that was what triggered that exiting. So I'm sure they've learned their lessons, that next time they will not allow external forces to influence their decisions in one way or the other. We witnessed that French government actually influenced the decision of ECOWAS in 2023 when they had a junta regime having a hostile relationship with the French government, and they decided to influence the ECOWAS to perhaps put some economic harsh policies and sanctions to ECOWAS, which triggered this exit. I'm sure the ECOWAS bloc and leadership have learned their lessons. Absolutely. Next time when issues of this nature happens, the regional bloc will not rush or be in a rush to raise sanctions against member states. Best is still negotiation, best is still dialogue, best is still treat one another with mutual respect, not to raise issues of military intervention, raise issues of threat of military intervention to these member countries. Like I said again, they've learned their lessons. The best they should do is to hold their hands together and force ahead and make sure that issues of this nature, when it occurs, that the way and manner they respond to it determines the further existence of ECOWAS. Thank you.
All right. I must thank you, Steve Nwachukwu. In essence, ECOWAS should consider or take the interests of member countries more seriously against the interests of some external forces, like you did mention, France in this case. I must thank you, Steve Nwachukwu, an economist, for your contribution on Business Daily today.
Always my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much.